What's your wildest high school secret? 8 kids in our senior class committed suicide. Our ancient history teacher, a man in his 60s, was busted for having a minuscule amount of marijuana, and he went nuts in class outing parents and prominent town leaders as cocaine dealers. I was at a party in my senior year of high school. I didn't know the guy who lived there, so I didn't investigate when I smelled pot coming from the back of the house. But I did notice that among the half-dozen or so teenagers coming out that room later, a couple of adults were with them. One of them was my chemistry teacher, who seemed rather surprised to see several of his students in the room. He quietly left the party. No one wrote with a Sharpie on the outside of the third-story window. I did it, on the inside, mirrored. The school has had 4 microwaves blown up, over the course of 4 years. The first time I told a guy to put in a pack of raisins, explosion. The second time, some freshman put in bag of Sour Patch Kids, explosion. The third time, a senior put in 8 bags of popcorn into the single microwave, explosion. The fourth time, someone put some sort of metal thermos in it, explosion. Also, there have been 3 sexual encounters in only one bathroom in the 4 years I've been here. Watched the school roof get set on fire. Shooter threat. Some kid got stabbed outside the school. 4 suicides. My astronomy teacher fired for saying the N-word 13 times in one class. 5 of our band directors over the school's history have gotten fired for having relationships with students. My friend's mom was a math teacher. The summer before I was in her class, one had the brilliant idea to find notes or tests or whatever to cheat with because I was terrible at math. Whenever I was at their house, I'd try to stealthily look around. After a few visits, I was getting frustrated at finding nothing and expanded my search zone, eventually leading to the parents' bedroom once when everyone was outside. I didn't find any math notes, but did find a drawer with lingerie, toys, lube, etc. The horny part of my brain took over and I snatched a pair of lacy underwear, shoved them in my pocket, then went outside and made an excuse to go home. On the first day of school I realized, obviously, she kept all her schoolwork in the locked filing cabinets in the classroom. Sold tons of pirated video game discs that I would torrent and burn from home. Not from a rich family, but I was a baller at school. Also sold fake bus tickets. In the lights room in my high school's theater there was a couch that no one sat on because some tech crew got to rehearsal early and heard a couple going to Pound Town from outside the door. The room was locked, none of the students had keys, and the couple was gone when the tech head opened the door, so no one ever found out who it was. I was the one receiving the pounding. There was a way to get to lights from backstage with an easy-to-pick lock. Snuck in, boinked, snuck out, never suspected. Some of my cousins go to my old high school and apparently the couch is still there and is still referred to as the sex couch, so that's my secret legacy. I had a really good friend in the 12th grade who had killed himself, and for the rest of the year I'm pretty sure I was the only one that had ever realized he left, so I never told anyone. Not crazy wild, but I guess a scandal. We were juniors and one of the younger teachers, okay but like 30, lived in the apartment across the hall where we were partying. Unclear as to how he showed up, but at some point was drunk and sitting on the couch with one of the girls on his lap. That's all I recall before they disappeared together. Monday rolls around and, to no surprise, it got out. For reasons also unclear, none of us said shit when we were all grilled by the office staff. Without proof anything happened, homeboy is still teaching there, as far as I know. I gave my girlfriend a kitten for her birthday. The secret is that I did it 'cause I hated her, and at least this way, I'd get to play with the kitty when I was at her house and it gave me something to look forward to. Not high school, but one of my teachers opened YouTube and it was filled with sexual videos. This teacher was like 70. Every year we had a student versus teacher basketball game. The main Chad McShoddington pulled me aside 15 minutes before the game and asked me to smoke. Him being the most popular and sought after guy and me being me. I said okay. I had a blunt with wax on it. We got super stoned and he went on to play. Not just stoned, we were properly destroyed. Like Autism.X running on administrative level high. I sat in the bleachers and watched this dude high out of his mind face off all the teachers, security guards and principal and dunk on them. No one even suspected he was high. There's still a good pint of Jack Daniels hidden inside the ceiling from 10 years ago. I checked last year day when my nephew was graduating. I went to a small school in Colorado. In 8th grade our pottery teacher fell asleep with a lit joint or something and his house burned down. The cops found his stash. He had to give a really cringy, "I have been living with my secret drug addiction" speech to all of us in class. Thing was, most the teachers in that town were doing a lot worse drugs than pot. We had math teacher come to class trippin' balls on acid one day. The wildest thing I did in high school was the time I snuck into the library during the afternoon pep rally. Now at the time, I was running the gaming club, so I had the then brand new Nintendo Switch, its dock, and a copy of Breath of the Wild in my book bag. Our school also had these giant touch-screen monitors with HDMI support in every classroom, including the library's computer lab. So I pulled up the most comfortable chair, plugged that bad boy in, and played about 2 hours of BOTW, giant screen experience. By the time 2:30 hit, I packed up my stuff and bailed before the librarians could ever figure out I was there. Probably my favorite high school memory. I managed to hide my pregnancy. I had her 2 weeks after graduation. No one in school knew. Thank God for hoodies and being a very small woman, even when pregnant. It helped that there were 5 other pregnant girls that year for people to focus on. Some kids in the senior class that graduated after mine strangled 2 football players to death, mutilated their bodies and then had an orgy on top of them. When they got done they played video games and smoked weed next to the corpses. Everyone went to prison and one of the girls that was a participant accessory just got out of jail on good behavior this year, I believe. All those cuts, bruises, grass stains, cracked ribs, and broken teeth weren't from playing football. Sorry Mom. There was Fight Club at school with like 30 members and we did not go easy on each other. I guess it can still be a secret if it's a shared secret. Before school started us marching band kids would have Heck Week, where we practice marching band stuff all week so we were ready for the first games of the season. School picture day was also that week. That day I had gotten so stoned with the sousaphone player that I passed out waiting in line to have my picture taken. Someone's nurse mom rolled me out on a chair and gave me some water, and to this day everyone involved thinks I had heat exhaustion or something from marching all day. Worked at McDonald's my senior year. We used to have our girlfriends come over after closing 12:30. We would drink, watch porn and go fuck in the ball pit playground area. Friends of mine sold weed at age 16 or so. I thought they could do better so I invested in them. They sold kilos and kilos of weed. It's years later now and every now and then I still wonder how we never got caught and what trouble we would have gotten into if we did get caught. Edit. Damn, I didn't expect all these upvotes. Thanks all. I smoked cigs and drank beer with my next door neighbor teacher. She was cool. I never went inside her house and our backyards were open, no fence, so I was still at my house basically. Nothing sexual, she was not a pedo. I didn't really have any wild secrets. My first girlfriend could fist herself, but that's not even my secret. The hottest girl in the school gave me her copy of Anthony Kiedis's Scar Tissue. Inside she had burned me a copy of her favorite RHCP songs. I just looked at this as a nice gesture and didn't think much of it. 30-year-old me wants to slap high school me in the face. I read this as regret and not secret. I appreciate that I'm not getting hated on for it though. I shit myself freshman year and then fell in mud on purpose and made sure everyone saw so I could say it was all dirt. I lived a double life in high school. My home life was spent manufacturing amphetamines while I played nice at school. None of my friends knew for years that I was a cook. I gave my friends weed to keep them away from the harder drugs. Once I got older, about 17 to 18, I realized the people who raised me were fucked up and manipulated my loyalty. It's not that wild, but the janitor, a friend of mine, excused me from first 2 classes in the morning, made me bed in our theater hall and let me sleep for those 2 classes. That's because I had an exam in the 3rd or 4th class and sleepless night, not studying, just bad night. I got the best mark on that exam. No one knew I slept in school. I'd finger makeout with this girl on a weekly basis who was dating one of the more popular dudes in school. I'd probably get my nose broken if anyone found out. We shared a photography class and it started with going on little photography trips around the schoolyards. I'd snap photos of her and she'd get turned on by them. It stopped the next semester when we stopped sharing a class together. One of my classmates shotgunned his parents dead and went to prison. I liked the guy. He was a good kid. He was liked by all. He never did anything bad to kids in school. He never made fun of or picked on other kids. He was slightly popular. I accidentally caught my teacher watching porn during lunch when I went back to get my phone, and I sort of blackmailed him into giving me a good grade in the class because chemistry is hard. Apparently it wasn't the first time someone caught him either. All science teachers are weird. Dude, I have way too many that I'm way too ashamed of. Got super drunk at a party and got butt naked and let a girl go down on me in front of everyone. I'm a girl, I was like 17. Yeah, it was hard to live that one down. I loved to drink back then. Edit. Sorry, I was 16. I fucked my ceramics teacher. Senior year, I got directed by a janitor to grab some towels from the janitor's closet to clean up a spill in my classroom. To get to the closet I had to pass by the teacher's staff break room. I saw an open teacher's edition algebra book and no one around. Easiest year for math. I would pay the student office assistant every week for vacant lockers and their combinations to stash tons of weed in. We had police as security at our school who would bring dogs sometimes. I would rotate lockers and keep it all split up. I would never have anything on me. Once one of the lockers got busted and they never found out whose weed it was. I should have known this thread was just gonna be a bunch of sexual fan fiction. I got a double blowjob from my two friends' younger sisters during a March Madness party. Sorry Kevin and Matt. In the 90s, the school districts and local liberties all used the same BBS software that was just reskinned to their specific use. This software was also used in a lot of local boards. There was a pretty no backdoor that allowed you to gain admin rights if you hadn't applied the appropriate patches. They of course had not applied the appropriate patches. For a fee I would go in and change your grade for the report card print. I would change it back after they were sent. I didn't want the exploit discovered. I made a grip for about 2 hours work every semester. I got some Gone Wild pics on every year for my birthday from my best friend's girlfriend. I didn't feel bad when he took a swing on me when he found out he wasn't going to graduate, which meant he couldn't go into the Marines. Damn, so either my high school is just very mild compared to the ones in this thread, or I'm just unpopular and don't know there's crazy shit happening around me. Brought a 1 liter of Coke to school. 50-50 mix of Bacardi and Coke. Put it down in the center of the lunch table and the underclassmen around me all took swigs and passed it around. I was 18 at the time and they were all minors. Vice principal even walked by us a couple of times but didn't stop to investigate. We went on a school trip to Germany and the hostel we stayed at had windows that could be completely taken out in fire emergencies. So me and my friends would take out the window at night and use the drain pipe to scale down the building, was only like 2 floors up, and go take in Germany's night life, nothing like coming back at 4 a.m. and drunkenly climbing the pipe. I took my crush's virginity at his parents' house while the person I lost my virginity to, my first BF, his best friend, was in the next room over. After, he went back to the other room and the sleepover continued. The best friend never knew. A kid at my high school ended up lighting his house on fire and killing his dad, brothers and some of his sisters, I think. I remember his mom and one sister were alive. His one brother, who I was kind of friends with, was over at his friend's house for the night. It was completely intentional. They found him at the hospital trying to kill his mom and sister. Maybe not a secret, but it was still wild. Group of girls had lesbian orgy and recorded the act. School authority never found out. At least till we graduated. This girl in high school was an absolute bully to me. She called me names, made fun of me, etc. I hated her so much. One day I was in the gym alone. I saw a 3-ring binder with her name on it. I looked through it, making sure no personal belongings like pictures, money, etc. were in it. It was just notebook paper with school work on it. Then I threw it in the garbage can outside the gym. If there had been a bag case with pencils, pens, etc., I would have taken that out and threw it onto the bleachers. And #X200B. I feel really bad about it. TBH. It was such a stupid and mean thing to do. I don't even dislike said girl anymore. She has mellowed out in her adult years. Was in stage crew. Got a blowjob up in the roof catwalk from girlfriend while hundreds of people were watching the annual musical. Never missed a spotlight cue. No one saw or knew. Never told anyone I went to HS with. My parents were shitty parents and forced me to get a job at 15 years old to pay rent, aka my dad taking half my paychecks and pocketing them. Anyways, I was a lifeguard during high school at an indoor pool right across the street from my HS, and various sports would utilize the pool sometimes for practice. I would sneak into the back in the private bathrooms and have sex with coworkers, patrons, and some of the athletes from my school during my breaks. No one really knew, other than the people I did the do with, and people only found out after I had quit the job 3 years later. Nice try, Principal Miller. IDK, knowing people jerked off to kids having sex in the back of the bus. Summer after my junior year, I slept with my best friend's sister. He doesn't know, and we did it every chance we got.